As Stéphane just said, I'm with the PEI Association for Newcomers to Canada. That's our slogan, our motto, if you like, bringing people and communities together. We're a settlement and integration agency that's been around for almost 23 years. I just want to talk briefly about who's coming and what we do. Some of this will be familiar to my settlement sector colleagues, but for those who aren't from that sector, we'll just walk it through. But the only thing we don't do is the language classes. PEI welcomes, it's going to be different this year, welcomes on average about 40 to 60 refugees every year coming from a variety of countries, mostly in the most recent past Bhutanese refugees, but we also get African refugees. It now looks like we could be getting 5 or 6 times that number by the end of February, so we're all ramping up for that. We also get a lot of immigrants coming to PEI. In the past year, in 2014, we had 1,684 people registered with us. That was 1,312 permanent residents, most of them coming through the provincial nominee program, but there are other streams that they come through. The other groups of people that we deal with are international students and temporary foreign workers. And the province funds one position with us as a settlement worker and one as an employment counselor. So we're able to provide support to, in 2014, almost 200 temporary foreign workers, over 100 on study permits, and 86 visitors. We don't turn anybody away in PEI. Let's see if we can get this moving along. So in terms of settlement and integration being a success, we really bring it down to 3 elements. And I know it's at one point it's more complicated and more complex than that, but otherwise we find it's really simple. If they learn a Canadian language, English or French, it opens the door to pretty well everything else. If they can get a job or open a business, then that really helps them connect to the community and begin to feel part of the community. But perhaps the hardest, it may be more difficult in PEI or not, but perhaps the hardest might be the social inclusion piece. Making newcomers feel welcome and them feeling like they are part of a new community. And I think in PEI in some ways, I'm doing this from the perspective of a smaller place, we're fortunate in that we have manageable numbers and we're able to provide both a personal service and a personalized service in ways that bigger places may not be able to do. And I think that gives us some advantages. Now, all this may change within the next couple of months. As I said, with anywhere from 4 to 6 times those numbers coming in, we'll have our hands full. But these are what we really work on. There's a picture of the outside of our new premises. For those who haven't visited in a while, we're at 49 Water Street in downtown Charlottetown, and that's just as the fall colors were coming on the side of the building. This is where people come to get services. We offer a resettlement assistance program for refugees. This is, of course, the 6 to 8 weeks after their arrival, giving them what they need to get resettled and begin their settlement process in Canada. We've recently established, in partnership with Public Health, a health clinic on our premises. And I know others are doing this. We actually borrowed this concept from ISANS in Halifax. And it's turning out to be really successful. On the one side, our refugee clients feel very comfortable coming to our offices. They know the staff. They feel almost at home in our offices. And surprisingly to us, the public health nurses who come and do everything from immunizations to other health checks have to haul an awful lot of gear to come down once a month on a Wednesday morning, but they seem to be really enjoying it and being out of their clinical environment and in the neighborhood, if you like. We offer newcomer settlement services. This is our settlement team that offers this. It's the same as every settlement agency, from intake to needs assessment, orientation, translation, interpretation, all of those things. helping with newcomers with all of the documentation that we as Canadians take for granted. There's an awful lot of paperwork to be filled out to become part of the island community. Then we help them with medical appointments, hospital tours, immunization clinics, that kind of thing. We also do a monthly immunization clinic with public health where, because it's such a large, well over 100 every month, go to public health for their shots. And it's a great partnership with public health. Canadian Life Skills Program, we have half a Canadian Life Skills worker. We used to have a full one, but cuts from CIC last spring. We had a 17% cut to our settlement contribution agreement, and so we only now have half a person. We're building that up now with the incoming Syrian refugees, but this is a really important part. Information sessions, and you can see the sessions. An example of some of the sessions that we hold. One of our most popular sessions is preparing for winter. And I don't know if you caught PEI last winter, but we had 18 plus feet of snow in 2.5 months. That session's really important. The other one, surprisingly, that gets a big turnout is fishing on PEI. Newcomers love to be able to go and fish and feed their families. And it doesn't matter whether they're economic immigrants or refugees. They really like it. And they do try to find out where the secret spot on the Morel River is for the best fishing. We don't tell them. Immigrant Student Services, this is a part of the settlement program. This is a team of youth settlement workers and a family counselor who work with families to orient them to the Canadian school system, help with interpretation, parent-teacher meetings. The family counselor is a position that we got about 2.5 years ago, at first with a little funding from the province, and then CIC supported it. And it's really critical because the amount of time that it takes to just get a psychological assessment in PEI is 7 to 9 months. And it might be 2 years before you get an appointment with a psychologist. Unless, of course, you're a danger to yourself or to the public, then suddenly you move way up the queue. But it's a real problem. And speaking with colleagues at the Canadian Council for Refugees meeting in Hamilton on this past Thursday and Friday, it was a major issue there, and it's something we're all grappling with and trying to deal with. They run, ISS runs, ISS, not ISIS, runs some really good boys groups, girls girls circles, youth leadership, youth exchanges. We recently had refugee kids being exchanged with Métis Cree kids in northern Saskatchewan, and it was absolutely amazing. They came spend a week with us. We spent a week with them in northern Saskatchewan. Many of these kids from northern Saskatchewan had never been to a beach before. Saltwater beach, or a cinema. They hadn't been out to a movie theater. And likewise, our kids there was an elders conference going on at Pine House Lake, and it was what they learned from their elders and the respect that the Métis and the Cree show for elders. It was a real learning experience for them, and it resonated with them in their own cultural experience. Sports is also a big part of that. Employment assistance programs, we offer the full range of everything we can do to help people get jobs. I'm going to come back to a few of these things in a bit. We've also been part of the Internationally Educated Health Professionals Initiative run through Health Canada. It's coming to an end March 31st, 2016, sadly so, unless the new government, which is fulfilling a lot of good promises, maybe they'd like to come back and fund this program because it's helped a lot of physicians on PEI. Our retention rate before this program started might have been 20%. It's now approaching 90% of the physicians and nurses and other medical professionals that come into the province, helping them stay. A lot of work done on that. Again, I will come back to this one in a bit. Hello. I have 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Community Connections program. We have a tutor program, which is really good. Multicultural education program where we do cultural sensitivity training with groups in the community. We have an online guide for newcomers. Anyone is welcome to get this anywhere in the country. It's in 7 languages. You feel free to use it, especially if you're looking for materials in Arabic. This is the challenges for newcomers. Again, most of you will know these things, and this is what we're trying to deal with our programs. Okay, now I'm hoping I'm going to get into, come on, there we go. We run a lot of camps for students, and we find it's really an excellent way. So we have a boys group called Bro Zone, sounds like a deodorant, and a girls group called Girls Inc. And they talk about dating and sexuality and bullying and those kinds of things in a very safe environment. And we run leadership groups who have role models for newcomer kids. Tutoring, I want to mention this because we're really now seeing a shift, and we're encouraging this. We're getting newcomers who've learned English well enough to be able to teach other newcomers, and it's a message to the newcomers saying, you know what, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You will be able to learn English, and you will get along in the community. Alternate Careers Day, I want to talk about this. This is one of our most successful employment outreach events where we had we connected with 6 sector councils, we had employers, and we had conversation tables where we had newcomers who could sit and have their first ever contact with an employer and a sector council, and they could ask direct questions. Feedback from both the sector councils and employers as well as the newcomers was, this was excellent. Normally we send in a resume, we never hear anything. We can't ask questions. We need to be able to reach out to them. So that was really successful. The employers also learned some of the barriers that newcomers are facing. Sports is probably one of the best ways to have everything else drop away. Accents, language, customs, whatever. When you focus on the game, it really becomes exciting. You can see this is the UPEI women's hockey team who coach newcomer youth, and that's my curling team. 3 Chinese newcomers who have never played curling before, but they are so enthusiastic and they love it. We had Mahjong days, again, established islanders with new islanders. They're learning an ancient African game. Learn to Camp, we have an MOU with Parks Canada where we take people to the North Shore of PEI in June where it's not warm, and we teach them how to camp, and they just never feel so Canadian. Winter is fun, really. We take them out tubing and cross-country skiing and more. We take them out to learn about the history and the geography of PEI, Province House and so on. I know, I'm getting close. Here they're making candles at Orwell Historic Village in the eastern part of PEI. Citizenship classes. We have started running citizenship classes, and the pass rate has gone up significantly on Prince Edward Island. And of course, this is the ultimate goal, isn't it? This is what we want to see, those smiling faces and people succeeding. What's going on? There we go. I just say it again. Language, employment, and inclusion. If you nail those, you will have successful retention for most of the time. I couldn't resist this. This is my staff. On Halloween, well, the day before Halloween. The esprit de corps in that association is remarkable. And you can imagine what it looks like to newcomers who are coming in to register or get services that day when they're meeting with the Avengers or careers or whatever else. I still don't know what Joe Byrne is. I think he might be on the left-hand side there, Men in Black guy. Anyway, thank you, merci,
Yes.